Good morning. Well, I've been reflecting on Christmas, as has been suggested to me, and I think there are those who are sometimes very cynical as Christmas approaches. That terrible sales spectacle on Black Friday shows up perhaps the worst side of Christmas. It's often said by people that Christmas has become too materialistic and commercial. So it may be that all the year round we pay too much emphasis to things rather than people. But things, and particularly actions, can be a way of expressing our concern for others. And I think voluntary community service, or any kind of community service, is a way of showing this. We can think of others by small actions which have no way of payment. The only reward is in the pleasure we have, perhaps, of knowing that other people are a little happier. The important message of Christmas, I think, is goodwill to all. We can see this shown on Christmas cards, for example, and this is a lovely way of keeping in touch, especially with those who are lonely. But again, I cannot help being a bit cynical. When I was a teenager, I moved to a house where the previous elderly couple had recently died. The following Christmas, there were a lot of cards addressed to them, but amazingly, 10 years later, we received a card delivered for them. It made me think, did the senders really care, or was it something generated from an address list? It was partly a reaction to a society that could reduce people to heartless lists. That voluntary community service was founded 50 years ago. Those young people who started the organization used practical help as a means of human contact, which might otherwise have been regarded with suspicion. Nowadays, there are an increasing number of organizations which do likewise, often inspired by religious faiths other than Christianity. And it's these simple acts of kindness, human kindness, which do not have a price tag, not just for Christmas, but all the year round. So, happy Christmas and a good New Year. Nadolig llawen, a blwyddyn newydd dda. I could share one story which is very appropriate for Christmas, I think, because we often think of children more than others, which is quite right. It's the birth of Jesus Christ, and we sometimes forget that even. One of the schemes many years ago, and VCS is still involved with such work, were play schemes in the Cardiff parks, which we pioneered. So a lot was done for children in poorer areas of Cardiff with various kinds of play activities. And the feeling that they shouldn't be forgotten afterwards was a very strong one as Christmas came along. So some of those Cardiff volunteers who were involved in that, with overseas volunteers incidentally, put together a little Christmas party. It was in the headquarters of the United Nations Association, which provided the international volunteers, at the Temple of Peace. So we had a big hall, and there were a couple of hundred children. But we also used a church in town too, the Tabernacle Baptist Church at the Hayes. So this is something which can show that we can do things at other times of the year, but Christmas is often a way of starting things that we should carry on throughout the year if possible. I don't feel too personal about Christmas. I like to make every day a Christmas day if I can. But I do remember that because of my early years and the war years and the difficulty of housing, I was an only child, and my parents and I lived barely in 2 rooms. So Christmas we celebrated as best we could in those limited circumstances. But when I was 16, we moved to the house that I referred to earlier, and it had a concrete floor in the kitchen, which was quite splendid, but the rest of the flat, in fact, was very pleasant. But we bought our first bottle of wine, and I managed to drop it on the floor on Christmas morning. So that's something I just can't forget. We didn't have much money, so dropping that bottle of wine was maybe fine for the flat, but not so good for us. And I don't think I was that popular at that moment. When I was up to when VCS started, I kept a regular diary, rather more of a journal, with details of interesting activities. And one of my first diaries I managed to survive all these years has to be when I was about 10 years of age, because it's when I went to secondary school that the English master urged us to keep diaries in a more elaborate written form, so that we could improve our expression in English. Maybe it worked, but one of these very early diaries, when I was about 10, referred to my friend and I going round the front gardens of people who had a lot of snow in front of their doors and clearing the snow away just before Christmas. Of course, we got a little money out of that, and I think I earned about 5 shillings, which was a great deal over 40 years ago. Boy, am I talking about 70 years ago. So that's one of my childhood Christmas activities, perhaps not exactly voluntary work, because we gained a little pocket money from that. But I've never been abroad at Christmas, except now, of course, in Sweden, which is slightly different from the way we celebrate it in Britain. It's always celebrated on Christmas Eve, rather than on Christmas Day. Still a great family occasion, and we're very happy, my wife Ed and myself, to have her sister Signe here with us on that occasion. So they come to us, and they're not too far away, fortunately, only an hour's drive. So that's how we celebrate Christmas here. And that's been my Christmas for the last 18 years.